Hello Flosstube friends, and welcome to my 2026 WIP parade. I have 24 projects to show you today, and I decided to go in order from least complete to most complete. I have 24 projects, I think I already said that, and they run the gambit from 0 to 99% complete. First up is kind of an outlier because this is going to be a restart. This is my second oldest WIP. I started it in 2022 and I got the pattern on Etsy, and it's called Old World Map. And this was before I discovered Flosstube. It's the first time I had started cross stitching in like over a decade. And I saw this pattern on Etsy. I loved it. I love maps. I love stitching maps, all about the maps. And I started stitching it on a piece of Aida that I just had in my stash from decades earlier. And I didn't even care. I wanted to start so bad that I knew I didn't have enough margin, and I started anyways. This is the top right here. And as you can see, there's like 7 more rows that need to go in here, and it would basically be going off the edge. But I decided, after I realized that this was a pirated pattern, I decided to quit stitching on it. And I also, shortly after this, discovered that you didn't have to stitch on Aida cloth, that you could stitch on Lugana and linen. And on projects that have vacant space, like this one has all this clear area, nowadays I would much prefer to stitch that on a linen or a Lugana. So I went to eBay and I found this pattern, and well, I found this whole kit, and I decided I'm going to restart this. So this is technically a 0% project because it's going to be a restart on maybe like a vintage country mocha. I use that for a lot of things, but I really like that color. We'll see. We'll see what I started on. So this is technically, this particular piece of fabric is a UFO, but it's going to be restarted. And it is currently at 0%, but it is an active WIP. Next up is one that I just started the other day. I was scrolling through Instagram and I came across this delightful little dimensions kit called Windowsill Cats, and I have 2 cats, and one of them, they actually look very similar to these. One of them is like a orange Torby and the other one is a calico, and I thought this was just too perfect. So I was able to find this kit on eBay, and I also just love the winter vibes on this one. It can sometimes be difficult to find winter pieces to stitch that don't incorporate Christmas, but I really feel like this is one of them. So I started this on, instead of the kit Aida, I started it on a 28 count Zweigart Navy Lugana, and I am obsessed with the way that these stitches are popping off this fabric. I don't know. Oh yeah, there we go. It is delightful. But it's also a very small start. So this is my least stitched project at probably about 5%. Next up is a Mirabilia kit that I started on February 8th, 2025. And I just fell in love with this pattern. I don't have a lot of progress on it. It's called Paris Cafe, and or French Cafe, I guess. And I don't know if it's even for sale right now. I think they might have sold out. Which way does this go? It's very bunched up in the middle there. I love that this comes with the Zweigart Aida. It's so soft and much easier to work on than the Ada that comes with dimensions kits. I think that's the right way. No, that's upside down. This is the right way. So just a very small start. This is gonna get a lot of love this year. I'm sure of it. That is WIP number 3. Next up is a Bella Filipina project. I started Hummingbird Fairy on June 25th, 2024. So this one's been around for a little while. That is where she's at. I actually worked on this for WIP Go this month, and I started putting in her legs here, and I've kind of been a little bit nervous about how dark some of these threads are for her skin. They don't seem to go together very well, but then I looked and, you know, maybe it's just gonna be one of those trust the process things. So I will trust the process. I'm so excited to get to these wings. They look so fun. There is my hummingbird pixie. Next up is my only Teresa Winsler. I started this on January 25th, 2024. It is called Camelot Sampler. And my best guess is that it's at 12%. This one's kind of hard to track. I have it in Pattern Keeper, but it doesn't like look up the symbols or anything. So there's blank space that I kind of have to mark out as I go. But anyways, that is where it's at. I have been working on this one a little bit lately. I started putting the border in here. This is going to be Queen Guinevere's portrait here. All of this here is 1/1 stitching. I've seen some people who did this online and they went in and they backstitched to really make the horse and whatnot pop, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think it looks pretty good the way it is. And I know that I shouldn't have put these lazy daisy stitches in because I keep putting my Q-snap over it and they're kind of getting beat up. And that's why I didn't put any more in, because I knew I was going to end up taking them out and completely replacing them. But there she is. Camelot Sampler by Teresa Winsler. Next up is my only chatelaine, which I started January 22nd of 2025. And this one is called Small Hanam Oasis. And I picked this one because I don't think that I want to stitch a mandala, because I don't think I want to repeat the same pattern 4 times. And this one, it does mirror, so this section is going to be identical to this section, but twice is better than 4 times, because I know that I would get bored with that. This one is so much fun to stitch on. The last time that I worked on this, I put these rice stitches in here. I've had to substitute a lot of the Glorianas because they're almost impossible to find right now. So I subbed them out for Karen Water Lilies, so it doesn't look exactly like it should, but it's still gorgeous. I love this project. I haven't worked on it in a while, but I think it comes out in February. Yeah, it's in my spring rotation, so it's gonna start getting worked on again here soon. That is Small Hanam Oasis, and I think it is also, it's almost at 13%. Next up is Map of Hawk-Run Hollow, which I started January 15th of 2023. This is a Carriage House Samplings chart that I fell in love with. It's one of my only primitive sampler style projects, but again, it's a map, so I had to have it. And this is as far as I've gotten. I did work on this kind of recently. I went in and put this butterfly and finished off some of these trees and maybe this bird here too. I was trying to eat my vegetables first and get through this slog of a bird, but it just made me not want to work on it. So as I've been going back now, I've been like filling in, and there is still quite a bit of bird to go, but I am over halfway done the length. Like I'm right here now. And there's all this fun stuff over here that I get to work on next. There's a lot of water there. I think this might be the first time that I'm realizing how much blue water there is. But this one is at 17%, or that's my best guesstimate based on where it's at in Pattern Keeper. Next up is Mermaid Kiss, a Letty Stitch kit that I started in May of 2023. It's done on the Kit Ada, and that's where I'm at. I worked on this a lot last winter. I haven't asked Letty Stitch yet if they will give me I do have this in Pattern Keeper, like I scanned it into Pattern Keeper, but most of my kits now I've gotten charts from the manufacturer that are searchable. Like Luca S gave me a searchable one. Dimensions has provided me with a chart, but it's not the kind that goes into Pattern Keeper nicely. So anyways, I digress. Here's where I'm at. I've been trying to eat my vegetables with this one too, which is why, like, her tail, the mermaid's tail is here, and then we got the ship and all that over here. I've been trying to get all this blue in, and these are some gorgeous blues. I do believe this is Anchor thread, but which is good thread. It's definitely a different, I might even like it better than what you would expect to see from a bunch of blues done in Dimensions, like an oceanscape from not Dimensions, DMC. They're just some really gorgeous high saturation blues. Anyways, that might give you a better idea of how far along I am. This one I figure is at 19%. And we'll see if Letty Stitch will give me a chart that I can put into Pattern Keeper, because that would make it go so much faster. Next up is a Stitch Rovia piece that I got out of her book, Cross Stitch for the Earth. And it is, none of them have names in there, but I call this my Swim the Sea piece. And this one, despite its size, stitches up really quickly. Like, there's a lot of blank space. I'm doing this on a lambswool joblin. I think lambswool is the color, and it's a joblin. I did make some mistakes in here that I've had to flub, and that might be why this one doesn't come out as often. But it's going to be lovely when it's done. There's several pieces on that book, in that book, Cross Stitch for the Earth, that I plan to stitch. But this is the only one that I'm working on right now. And this is WIP number 9, and it is 21% done. Next up is a birth sampler that I'm working on for my newest niece. She's about 3 months old now. I got this kit on Etsy, and I thought it was so cute. I've decided to chart the words, like her name and birth weight and all that kind of stuff. I decided to chart it myself because I didn't like the font that was used in the pattern. But I'm stitching the deer in here first, and then I'm going to make my own words. And that is where she is at. And this one I think is at about 25%. Next up is a Dimensions kit that I started in October of 2023. I'm doing it on the Kit Ada. It is called A Treasured Time. I've seen this completed recently by a couple Flosstubers, and it just looks so good. Despite having like a lot of stitching done, this is only at 32%. The last time I worked on it, I worked in here and I got this like fence done. This was my first time ever playing with couching, and I've kind of become obsessed with couching since then, and you'll see that on a future piece. If I had to do it again, I would save the couching for last. Backstitch is fine. Couching gets messed up in my Q-snap. And it would be so easy to pull it out and do it again. So if I really don't like it after I iron it, I probably will redo that couching. But it's my lovely, lovely Treasured Time from Dimensions. Next up is Silver Moon Tea by Mirabilia. This one hasn't gotten much work at all. And for no good reason, because I really do like this piece. There is what she'll look like when she's done. I am stitching this on 28, yeah, I think it is 28 count lavender. No, it's probably 32 count lavender Lugana. And this is as far as I've gotten. I did foolishly start beading up here, and so I can't Q-snap there, but I haven't had too much of a hard time working around that. I've also been doing her skin 1/1 full cross, which slows things down. The last time I worked on this, I actually started working on her arm, and she has a lot of exposed skin. So it's going to be a lot of 1/1. Like just this little section here took me like an hour. That's easily like 120 stitches right there. But after I did her face, the 1/1, I thought the effect was so good. I didn't regret it, not for a second. It's just going to take a long time to get through all that skin. Anyways, Silver Moon Tea from Mirabilia. Next up we have My Gardening, which is my only soda stitch project. I started this one on April 15th of 2023, and I haven't worked on it too much lately. I got like this whole first section over here done pretty early on, and then I haven't worked on it much since. And it's lovely. And I think this is a spring piece. So yeah, this will be coming out in my February rotation. So it should start getting some good work here pretty soon. I would like to get this one done. I have another soda stitch, a really popular one that came out this winter that I'd like to start. It's a small, and honestly, I could start that while having this one going. I wouldn't mind that at all. I just need an opening in my WIP spreadsheet. Next up is a magazine piece called Autumn's Glow. And I'll put the information up on the screen because I don't remember which episode or which month. I'm not over the moon about my back stitching here. I'm probably going to pull that out and redo it. I'm not exactly sure what I did there. It does not look good. Like, I'm happy with it down here, but up here, mistakes must have been made, and I'll probably be redoing that. But I've got a lovely little start. I love this little, I found out this is called a ground cherry. I couldn't figure out what it was before, but yep, that is Autumn's Glow from Cross Stitcher. Well, I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to stop talking about it because I have no idea which one it's from. Next up is Seafarer's Globe, which is a Maria Diaz pattern. And I got it off of Creative Poppy. I'm not sure where you would get it from now. But it is gorgeous. I'm doing it in CXC. I subbed out all of the DMCs for CXC threads, and they're so fluffy and lovely on this potato Lugana, 25 count potato Lugana. That was a choice. Probably not a choice I'd make again, but I don't regret it. Like, it looks so lovely. This one hasn't gotten much work, and I don't think it's scheduled to come out again until summer, but it's lovely. It's my only project that I'm doing in CXC. The issue that I ran into with the CXC is that I had to buy it as a kit, like a whole, the entire collection of CXC, all like 400 and whatever many threads. And then when I ran out of a thread, reordering a single thread because I can't get it locally was way more expensive than buying a DMC. So because I don't want to mix DMCs and CXCs, I just don't think that that's going to be, I don't plan to start anything else in CXC, even though I think this is lovely. Love the kind of puffiness and the sheen of the floss. And I love this pattern. Again, a map. Love, love, love. And it is at 45%. Next up is another Marechka kit, and it is called the Old City. I started this one in April of 2023, and this is my baby. I work on this one all the time. I love it so much. I'm in no hurry to finish it because I just love it so much. I didn't initially. When I was working up here, I started thinking, why did I get this pattern? Like, I don't love this like kindergarten primary color palette that we're working with here. And now I cannot get enough of this. I love the effects of the like rain on the sidewalk and all the little elements. This is the project that I very recently started. Instead of doing white backstitch, I started couching it instead because I don't really like the way white backstitch looks. I find it often looks gappy. This was backstitched, this was couched. And again, this went in the Q-snap, and so it doesn't look as lovely as it did when I first laid it down. So I probably will save all the couching for last, but I think I prefer this to backstitch in the light colored fabric. And I also love the effect I was able to get. Like, this looks like, instead of being like a straight line, it's like the reins of a horse, like a loose rope kind of texture. Anyways, I could talk about this guy all day. He's so lovely, or she. And one of the other reasons that this is such a joy to work on, although when I did start it, I had just scanned it into Pattern Keeper, but this I now have in the Fantastitch app, and so everything is searchable. I can highlight the backstitch. I did make a little change here recently. So right here, this backstitch, I had no idea what that was supposed to say. Like, I can see that this says gifts, and this says cafe, restaurant, there's a fish, a bank. No idea. It kind of looks like ITC or something. Anyways, I put my initials in there instead because I didn't think it said anything or meant anything. And then when I get over here, which is this, there's these two kind of dash lines next to the fish. And whatever year I finally finish this, I'm gonna put those in there next to the fish instead of the two little dashes. So I got my initials and I'll have the year. And this is like the first project I think that I've actually like really plotted or thought about putting my initials in. I'm not sure that my initials, that I've even put them in any other project, but love this one so much. And it is at, I think it's about 52% now. Next up is the Birds Winter by Luca S. And they sent me a version of this chart. I asked them through email if they would send it to me. They sent me one and I put it in Pattern Keeper, and the symbols are searchable, which is so lovely. This kit came with a white Aida, 16 count white Aida, and I subbed that out for Winter Moon Cashel linen because there is so much empty space in this chart, and if there's going to be empty space, I want to see linen or Lugana in that empty space, not Aida. And here's where I'm at. I think this one is at, I have it at 50%, but I think it's a little over 50% now. And there's some backstitch in this, but not a ton. I have most of the backstitch done. There's a little bit of backstitch here and a little bit of backstitch here, and I've done those. And then all that's left for backstitch is this, and then there's a little bit here, here, and here. So as far as backstitch, this, like, it's lovely. It's not like cumbersome. There's no backstitch in all of here, and it's still really detailed and lovely. I really like this pattern. There's another one, I think it's called the Birds Autumn. There might be 4 of them. Anyways, when I finish this one, I plan to do the other ones because they're just gorgeous. And now that I know that Luca S will send me a searchable chart, it really makes these much more of a joy to work on. Next up is Lola Crow's Greenhouse Stitch Along. Greenhouse of Oddities Stitch Along that I started in April of 2023. I raced through getting this whole outline done, and then from there I just fell out of love with stitching on this. Partially because this fabric is so tight, and partly because I just really quickly went through like 5,000 stitches of black, and then I didn't want to do it anymore. And it's kind of been sitting on the sidelines ever since. Every now and then I'll pick it up and put like some here and here and here, and now it's the fun part. You'd think I'd want to really get into it. I think it's set to come, yeah, this one's set to come out in autumn, so I won't see this one anytime soon, but that's where she's at. Next up is one that I started in 2018. It's a dimensions kit, and I lost the cover photo for it. It's called, I think it's called Be a Light to the World. I didn't even consider this a WIP for the longest time because I started like maybe in like 2018, and I wasn't planning on coming back to it, but I've been slowly reintegrating all of my like really old, forgotten about projects back into my active WIPs because I do have a lot of work on them and I loved them and I want to finish them. That is where this one is at. This one is set to come out in summer. I love these greens up here. They're just, and with the contrast of these like tealy colors. I think they re-released this pattern pretty recently. I've seen it popping up again. But yeah, it's lovely. I figure it's at about 60%. There really isn't much to this one. It's a pretty small pattern. Next is Fairy Garden, which is a Mill Hill kit. I started this one, instead of starting it on the perforated paper, I decided to start it on doubloons cashel linen, and I'm at about 60% on this one as well. I've just been working down, beading as I go, because this nicely fits in a whole Q-snap, so I can bead as I go. This one's going to come out in February. This is a part of my spring rotation this year. And that is Mill Hill Fairy Garden. Next up is a gift stitch for my oldest daughter. I started it in October of 2023. It is called September Sapphire Fairy. It's a Mirabilia. And I'm not sure if all of this one is even going to fit in the frame, but we'll see. Here is where she's at. This one has been getting a lot of work. I've put this in my winter rotation because of her lovely winter colors. Let's see if I can kind of move her around so get her all in the shot. I put the Q-snap over her head and I kind of regret it, but I think I'll be able to get those. I'll be able to get those out, those little wrinkles. Right now I've been working in the bottom, which has just been a lot of block stitching. The pool of the bottom of her kimono, and it is gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. I think there's only about 4,000 stitches left on her. And she's gonna stay out, even if she goes into spring stitching, she's gonna stay out until she's done, because I'm wanting to start another one for my youngest daughter. So she has got to be finished. I think I have her at 67%. Next up is another Mirabilia called Trick or Treat Fairy. I got her off the Hirschner's website, and I have been subbing out all of the fancy floss and beads, which I haven't gotten to too much of it so far. This is another one where I ate my vegetables first. Like, this whole skirt, basically she is the most boring thing to stitch in this pattern. All these dark colors and whatnot, all the fun stuff comes in around her, even though she is gorgeous, and I love this banner she's holding, and the owl on her shoulder. This one, I was able to get it to go into Pattern Keeper, and so I'm able to track it pretty accurately, and she is at 73%. When I do get up here to the moon, I am going to not do the outline of the moon. Sometimes in Mirabilia's, she puts like a backstitch all the way around, like the full moon, and then it's just a crescent moon inside of it. But I don't like the look of that, so I will not be stitching the outline of the moon. And that was project number 21, so we only have 3 left. Next, oh no, that was 22. We only have 2 left. Next up is called Yes I Can Bake for Maria Domina, aka Little Room in the Attic. I got this chart several years ago, and I'm not sure if it's available right now, but it is stunning. I pulled out and I was kind of doing like a mini Flosstube WIP parade for my family at Christmas time, and this is the one that got everybody's like, oh my goodness, that's so cool, that's so pretty. Her patterns are so lovely. Her style, it's just magical. Love it. And I'm getting really close to being done. It is 86% done. I ran out of a color, otherwise I would have backstitched in here, and there's a super cute cat sitting on a stool there. The backstitch can be kind of daunting, but now I've kind of figured it out, and it makes me want to go out and do more of these really embroidery heavy, like fancy stitches with all this like gold. I think it called for a Krynic, and I subbed it out for DMC Light Effects, which I had, which has made me, it's changed me as a person doing this whole project. I am much more patient than I used to be. Love it. So happy with this. And so for the last project, I actually worked on it last night, and it's at like 99.99% done. And I couldn't finish it because I don't have the last color that I need to finish this. This is Earth Goddess by Joan Elliott. And here she is. She's definitely not going to fit in the frame, but she is basically done except for the outline of this mushroom that I ran out of 642. That's what this darker color around the edge is. So I haven't been able to finish it. Oh, well, I would have been done last night if not for the fact that I ran out of 642. Last night I went in and I did all of these mushroom backstitch, or not backstitching, little spot beads down here, and beads everywhere. She is so bead heavy. I'll bring her up and so you can really get a good look at some of the gorgeous sparkles. And that is WIP number 24. That is all of them. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, happy stitching.